18 months into what I thought was love, I discovered my boyfriend was meeting my sister in secret. Late night calls, bar dates disguised as friendship, and my own mother quietly handing him her number. By the time I realized the truth, my family had already chosen their side and painted me as the villain for seeing it at all. Using a random old account, because this isn't the stuff I usually post on my main. This whole thing spans over a few months, so stay with me on this. It is kinda long. I, 20F, and my boyfriend, 29M, I will call him R, have been together for about a year and a half now, and up until recently, I always trusted him, maybe blindly and naively looking back on it. I started losing that trust a few months ago when an ex of his, I will call her A, found me on Instagram and DM'd me what was basically the dreaded "Hey girly" text. I knew about A because they were pretty serious in college, and he and his mom had both told me stories about her. I was told by R that they ended their long-term relationship because they wanted different things with life. He said she wanted to settle down and he wasn't ready. I believed him, but A told me that they actually broke up because after 4 years together and talking about marriage, she found out he had been cheating on her almost the whole time with no remorse. Apparently, they had rekindled some time about a year before and thought he had grown as a person. So they were considering meeting up and possibly getting back together until he randomly ghosted her. She found my account through his and pieced together by our photos that I was the reason he ghosted her. She provided multiple screenshots, and the timestamps are all during the same time frame. Me and him started talking. He was talking to us both and entertaining us both up until the same day he asked me to make things official. I don't know why she didn't tell me sooner or if she had just found out, but I never asked even now because I don't know if I even want to know more. I thanked her, and I did confront him with this almost immediately. He was honest, but I think that was only because I had the proof right there in front of us. He admitted that he was talking to both of us and another girl because he was single then, and he had the right to. When I pointed out that I told him I wasn't talking to anyone else very early on in our talking stage, and he could have told me then. Or better yet, stopped talking to these other women if he thought we were so serious. He got very defensive and said that I was making this out to be something it wasn't, and said I was acting like he was a cheater. The fact that he brought up cheating first is telling to me now, even though I didn't think of it in the moment. I know he did not technically cheat on me, but it still feels disrespectful that he not only did it, but didn't even think to tell me throughout our whole relationship. This opened my eyes to some massive red flags that just seemed to keep popping up, and eventually they were all I could see about of him. I still love him despite how stupid that sounds. Even now, as I am typing this, I still hope I am so very wrong, even though I do not think I am, but I need other opinions because I feel crazy. My sister, 25F, who I will call J, just went through a nasty breakup 3 months ago and had to move back home with my parents to get back on her feet. Instead of hiring a moving company and wasting that money, she just asked our brother, 23M, to use his truck and have the family help her move. Of course we did, but I felt like we needed some more help, so I stupidly invited R to come and help us. R had never met my sister before then, but as soon as they started talking, I felt like a third wheel. They have more in common, which I should have expected with them being closer in age than me and him. I ignored it at first and tried to convince myself I was glad they were getting along. But the way he looked at her when we left later that night and the way she said goodbye like there was more behind the words filled me with jealousy. It wasn't even a full week later that it started getting weirder. R made a comment in the middle of a date night about how mature my sister is, which if you talk to this woman at all, anyone can tell she is the opposite of mature. So I know this was some type of dig because I have always been self-conscious of our age gap. I have even said the words, "I wish I was more mature," to him before. My mood was ruined after this because it made no sense to me why he was even thinking of Jay. And I was already upset and on edge, so I tried to end our night early. But he was following me around his apartment and yelling at me that I was acting insecure and didn't trust him. I let it slip that I hadn't trusted him for a while, and he asked me what the point of our relationship was if I couldn't trust him. And after some back and forth of me saying he needed to work to regain my trust and him saying I was blaming him for stuff he can't change, I ended up leaving because he would not stop, and I wanted to sleep. I went to my parents' place because they were closer and it was late already, so I crashed there. My mom, of course, was curious why, and I broke down and explained everything to her, minus the J details, because I knew she would be listening. And she was. I was a crying mess by the end, but my mom said she thought I was being paranoid and jumping to conclusions based on his past. I called R, and to his credit, he did pick up quickly. I told him I was sorry, but now I feel like a pushover because looking back on it, I was not the one who needed to apologize. Jay even came down and comforted me herself, which is rare because she usually only cares for herself. I should have seen this as a sign, but I was too caught up on thinking my sister finally cared about me. For a while, everything was okay. After, when I got back to his place, he apologized for yelling and said he hated seeing me leave and even asked me to move in with him. I hadn't decided yet, but I was stupidly considering saying yes. Everything felt too good to be true, and I was tired of feeling crazy, so I just started trying to accept that I may have paranoia issues when everything was basically confirmed for me. In the middle of the night, like a month and a half after Jay moved back, almost 4 in the morning, R was on the phone with her. I caught him in his living room, basically whispering into his phone. I was already suspicious and angry before I even knew who it was and asked him instead of doing the smart thing and listening in to whatever they were talking about, because I still do not know what their late-night conversations were about. He didn't even try and hide it. He admitted to me that he and Jay had been talking for weeks and were becoming close friends. He said he didn't tell me because he knew how I would react, and that he was worried I would think the worst. Hearing him say that felt so demeaning because it told me he knew how I would feel and what it would look, but did it anyway. I was too angry to even have a conversation with him, so I locked myself in the bedroom until it was light out, ignoring him and Jay, who spammed my phone with explanations. As soon as I could, I left his apartment with as much of my stuff as I could carry. I vented to my mom about this on the phone just to find out that it was my own mother who gave R's phone number to my sister that night. I crashed at their house because she apparently wanted to get to know him better. My mom keeps saying that she is being a good sister and looking out for me by making sure he is good enough, but I do not believe it. The timing is too weird. She finds out my boyfriend has a history of cheating and that's when she wants his number? If she truly was just trying to make sure he was good for me, she would not have felt the need to go behind my back to get R's number, and would she not have done that in the beginning? And she did not do that with either of my previous relationships. For some context about how my mom acts towards Jay, my sister has always been spoiled rotten. She's my parents' favorite, and didn't hear the word no from them if they could help it. In my parents' eyes, my mom's especially, she can do no wrong. Even though Jay is one of the rudest people I know, my mom still sees her as her baby. My mom keeps trying to get me to accept that she is just going through a hard time and needs a good friend like R, who takes care of her. But that just makes me more livid because why should my boyfriend be responsible for the heavy lifting of my sister's life? She is a grown adult who could go to therapy for her problems. She shouldn't need to call my boyfriend about them in the middle of the night. Last week was my final straw. I found out through my brother that R and J have been regularly meeting up at bars for weeks now. Even after the big fight about them calling in the night, going on what Jay calls friend dates, the cherry on top is that she specifically told my brother not to tell me. He told me almost immediately, and I finally broke. There is no good excuse for my boyfriend to be regularly seeing my sister behind my back, so I finally confronted them. I waited at my apartment and called them both to come, and the looks on their faces when they realized they were both there made my stomach turn. I didn't mention knowing about their little dates because I wanted to see if they would dig themselves into a hole, and that is exactly what they did. They both said they barely interact off the phone, and when they did, it wasn't planned, it just happened. I let them say their whole spiel before simply dropping, "So, you ended up at the same bar multiple weekends in a row for friend dates on accident?" When I used her own words, I saw on her face that she knew I knew. They tried to say it was nothing weird, and they both adamantly denied anything happening during those friend dates. But I feel it in my gut that they are lying about that too, since they can so easily lie to me about everything else. R said they were just hanging out as friends, but once they lied to my face about them, I knew they were more than friendly hangouts. I have no hard evidence of anything going on past these dates, and even if nothing physical has happened, he is at least emotionally cheating on me with her. They let me feel like a crazy, paranoid girlfriend, trying to make me feel like I was seeing things while manipulating me, and him having the nerve to ask me to move in with him while doing this. I have not spoken to either of them or my mom since, because I can't help but think my mom knew. What I keep thinking of that hurts most is that had A not told me he had a past of being a cheater, I would probably be thinking he's such a nice guy, helping and befriending my sister, and they all would have let me stay in the dark. They have not stopped trying to contact me, and I have gotten multiple voicemails from my mom that I am sure are defending them, so I can't even bring myself to listen to them. I have no idea what I am supposed to do now or how to go about this. I didn't technically break it off with R, and I do not know how to. I fully believe he was trying to trap me in his life by asking me to move in, and now I am honestly a little scared of what else he could try to keep me around. My brother said he would gladly break it to him for me, but I don't know if that is the mature thing to do, and I keep having to beat myself up mentally for missing him. Am I jumping to conclusions like my mom thinks, or does it seem like he is emotionally cheating with my own sister? Top comments from the viewers. Comment 1. The worst part of this is when you break it off and they start dating. They will spin it as you left him and he needed support. It just happened. To make you the bad guy to everyone. Pretend everything is fine while you disengage and start getting some proof gathered first. Start being sneaky yourself to catch them. Otherwise, they will be a couple and your family will accept it because you threw him away when you know better. Comment 2. NTA. If after this long of a rant you still think he may only be emotionally cheating on you, then you do need to get a bit more mature. But that only comes with experience, and you're deep into it right now. He and your sister are both betraying you in such a way that it makes no difference whether things are spicy between them or not. But guess what? If they haven't porked each other at any time on one of these dates, then my father was a hamster and my mother smelled of elderberries. Get rid of all of them, your mother included, as she, at the very least, is guilty of enabling your sister. Comment 3. NTA. Dump him, your sister, and your mother. You're seeing things for exactly how they are. Well, yes, your BF is a major AH. Your mother and sisters are narcissistic. I've seen stuff like this before. Your sister probably went to your mother with the "they aren't compatible" trope because she was interested. Your mother probably facilitated this, giving him her number. Probably wasn't the first time either. You confirmed the lying and sneaking when you confronted them about the friend dates. You can't trust anything they say after that. If you're as curious as I am about what happens next, hit like and let us know in the comments. What do you think their next move will be? Subscribe so you don't miss when we cover the update, because I know you'll want to know how this ends. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next story.